Hi, my name is Pam Denny. I'm the designer and architect of the Maximo BI or Business Intelligence tools within Maximo. Maximo's latest release is 7.6, and in that release there's a number of new BI capabilities. And today I want to highlight some of the new capabilities associated with ad hoc reporting. Ad hoc reporting enables our business and power users to create their own reports on the fly. And with 7.6, we've enabled a new feature called Summaries. To show you this new feature, I'm going to sign into Maximo as Diane LeBerry. And Diane LeBerry is someone who has access to a number of applications in Maximo, but she's going to get into work order tracking. Maybe she has a particular project or a particular business need to create her individual report. So in this case, she forms a filter and then comes over here and selects the Create Report button. Well, today or prior to 7.6, if Diane wanted to create a report, she could come to the Content tab, and there is a new UI here, so the ability to select the fields is slightly different, but she basically navigates between the hierarchy and she can select some fields here from work order tracking, or maybe she does a filter and then she wants to select a number of fields like change date and fail date. She would just navigate. Let's see, I'll use the new checkbox functionality here and grab a couple of dates there and add those selected. So she's building up the content of her report. If she clicks Preview, what that's going to do is show her what her report design looks like today. And she's going to see many fields displayed in a list format. But often what a person wants to do is say, well, look at all these priority fields. Well, what's the average priority in the work that I have? Or maybe I had a number of duration fields. What's my total duration? Or what's the last time that any of these work orders were changed? Well, beginning in 7.6, she will have the capability to do that with the new Summarize function. So let's imagine that we want to do that. Let's grab that priority field that we talked about for work order tracking. And let's say, here's my priority, that's my field. I want to see an average of that. I don't want to have to take my report results and dump them in Excel and perform that every single time. I want the report to do the work for me. Let's take a couple other fields like duration. What's my total duration of all these work orders? And let's add that. And then add it over here. Very important to always add use the add button, And that's like, say, scheduled date, right? What's my scheduled finish? What is my, maximum value? And let's also add that. So she's building up the content, but now let's see what the difference is. As she goes to preview the report this time, instead of just seeing the rows and rows of data, the summaries that she defined, the average priority, the total duration, and the maximum scheduled finish will show right there at the top of her report. So again, she doesn't have to analyze this outside of the report. Well, there's a couple other things to note here. One thing is formatting. Formatting is a beautiful way for you to segment your data. I can come to the Format tab here and select something like priority. So maybe I want to group my results on priority. And now let me run that report and you can see what the difference is. So instead of going from a listing report with those summaries displayed at the top level, I'm still going to see that, but I will also see my data grouped by priority. So here I have priority 1, and here's all the summary functions for that. For priority 2, here's all my summary functions. So as I navigate through my report, that could help me identify which areas I may need to focus on. So utilizing groupings with this new summary, very powerful functionality. I just want to describe a few business rules related to the summary function today. One very important rule is you can add a summary to any object in your hierarchy. However, you must first have an attribute that is already added from that field. So in the case for asset, if I come in here and say I want to grab budget cost, it doesn't let me add the field because I don't have a attribute added already from asset. So if I come back here to the Content tab, look how my category all shows work order detail. Every field I've added is from work order details. We'll just come over here to Asset, search for a field or add whatever one that you want. So now what's going to happen is as I look in my selected fields, here's the manufacturer field from category Asset. That's the asset object. Now go back to Summary. Now when I want to add budgeted costs, no problem. No problem at all to add that because I have, again, already added an attribute from the Content tab for that child object. So again, to add a summary on a child object, you must first have added an attribute from that child object. The other thing that you're going to notice with the Summarize tab is this column here called Date. We have reduced the amount of fields that you can add a summary to. To highlight that, I'll go back to the Content tab and notice for work order details there's a total of 89 fields available plus 149 fields available. If I go back to Summary and look at work order details, there's only 92 fields. It's a segment of the total population. And the reason that occurs is that in Summary we only show those fields that we can actually perform a function on. So the fields that we enable are anything that has a data type of an amount, a date time, a time, an integer, a decimal, a yarn, or a duration. If you try to use any other values, they're not listed. And the summary function, there's no freeform value, so you only have access to the fields that we can actually perform a function on. And it's also important to note that there's of some of these fields, see if there's a yarn field in work order tracking. There is. If I take a yarn like Downtime and say I want to do a minimum value, does that really make a lot of sense? A minimum of a 1 or a 0 value doesn't really make sense. So if I try to add it, it's going to give me a message, oops, there he goes, that it's not compatible. So of all the data types that we do allow, there are some that it just really doesn't make sense to utilize them. So if I wanted to, I should have probably left that, but say I wanted to do a downtime, and maybe I just want to do a count of the downtime. So of all these work order records, how many have downtimes in them? Yes, it's going to accept that type of value. And let me just run that again. Oh, let me give it a nice title so we can see what this looks like, how it would be completed. So this is the BR location WO work order report for Diane. And now let's preview it. And again, as I preview it, you can start to see the power of the summaries that will give to your ad hoc reports. Nice title, nice summaries, the different locations that are available. So very, very, again, powerful capability with the new summary function. So with that, I'd like to thank you very, very much for your time.